face in this trashy bar. Another glass and I am going places.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris from Brooker Films, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to do kinetic typography. Now, to do this effect you're going to have to load up Adobe After Effects. So once we're inside Adobe After Effects, we want to begin by creating a new composition. So we're just going to rename this to typography, and then we're just going to make sure that the width is 1920 and the height is 1080. If you did want to make a 4K composition, then you can go up into the preset and select 4K down here. However, just for this, we're just going to select HDTV, which is 24 frames per second at 1080. So then we're just going to double check the frame rate, that's 24, and I'm just going to press OK on that. So now that we've loaded up Adobe After Effects, we need to import our music. So I'm just going to go into my Finder, and I'm just going to drag this music track into After Effects. Now once that's done, I'm just going to drag that down onto this timeline here. And then I'm going to make sure that the sequence is much longer than it is, because I currently believe it is only 2 seconds long and the track is 3 minutes 38 seconds, 0.18. So I'm going to copy that duration there. And I'm just going to go up to composition, composition settings, and then I'm going to change the duration over here to that time code there. So I'm going to press OK on that. And now as you can see, there we go, the track is filling up this timeline. So now I'm just going to go over to the left, and I'm going to go into audio, and I'm going to go into waveform, and that's just going to load up the waveform, and this is going to help us with the timing and the animation. So now once we've done that, we just need to go through and we just need to listen to the track. So I'm just going to drag this back to the beginning, and we're just going to press the spacebar to play. Okay, so there we go, we've got the lyrics, here we are, face to face in this trashy bar, and we're just going to begin by creating this animation. So to do this, we just want to select our background. So I'm going to go up to layer, I'm going to press new, solid, and this is just going to be our background. So I'm going to make this, let's make this yellow. Oh no, let's make this blue. There we go. And I'm just going to press OK on that, and then I'm just going to lock this layer down here. So I'm just going to press the padlock there. And now from here, we just want to create some text. So to do that, I'm going to go back up to layer, press new, text, and we just need to change this to the first lyric of the song. So here we are. So I'm just going to turn that to here. And I'm just going to adjust the font of this. So I'm going to go up into this character panel on the right, and I'm just going to select a font. I'm just going to select this one for now. And now I just want to adjust the anchor point of this text layer here. This is the anchor point down here, and this is where the text is going to animate from. So we want to center that up so it animates right from the center. So to do this, I'm going to go down into here. I'm going to press the arrow, transform, and I'm just going to adjust the anchor point so that it fills the middle. There we go, that's perfect. And now I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to listen to this track one more time. Here. So on here, I'm just going to hold Command, Shift, and press D. And then I'm just going to delete the first part of that. So that's going to play on here. Shimmy that over a little bit. Here you are. So now we need to add another text layer. So that's here you. So we're going to double that. Command C, Command V. Drag this down, and we'll change that to you. And we'll just pull that across a little bit. So let's listen to it one more time. Hear you. Here you are. So I'm just going to copy that one more time, and I'm going to change this to R, A-R-E. Here you are. Now we'll play this back from the beginning. Perfect. So now that's in time with the music. I'm just going to adjust the positioning of this. So I'm just going to load up the grid. So I'm going to go down to here, press proportional grid, and I'm going to make sure that everything is centered along this center line here. So I'm just going to pull up the scale of this. So I'm going to press S on here. I'm going to pull the scale up to around 150 so that it fills these two grids here. And then I'll do the same thing for you. So I'm going to press S, and I'm going to pull up the scale of U so that it fills these two grids, and then I'm going to pull that up. And now I'm going to do the same thing for R, press S, pull the scale up, And there we go. I'm just going to center that one off. Perfect. So now I'm just going to make sure that all of these are centered. So I'm going to select all of these video layers and I'm just going to pull them into the center. There we are. So let's watch this back. Perfect. Now that is some super basic kinetic typography animation. However, we're kind of missing the animation point. They're not animating on, they're just cutting in hard. So from here, I'm just going to add some animation. So we're going to start with here. And to do this, we're just going to go onto here. So I'm just going to adjust the position of this and I'm just going to press P. So that's going to load at position. I'm going to go a few frames across and then I'm just going to set a keyframe here. Now I'm just going to drag the beginning of this over a touch and I'm going to pull the cursor across and I'm going to create a new keyframe there by just dragging this up. Now if we play this back, that's going to pull in. However, I want to add some bounce to this animation, so I'm going to drag this second keyframe up a little bit. I'm going to scroll across a few keyframes and I'm going to select a new keyframe again. Now I'm going to go back to that center keyframe and I'm just going to pull this one down a little bit. So if we play this back, that bounces in. That's really nice. So we're going to do the same thing for U and we'll do the same thing for R, but we'll do U first. So we're going to pull the start of this back a bit. I'm going to make a new keyframe on the position, so press P, new keyframe, 3 frames over, go back to the beginning, and new keyframe, and then just pull the positioning of this over to the right. Now we're just going to go through and we're going to adjust the middle keyframe, so we're just going to pull that over to the left, and then that should bounce back into position. So if we watch this back, U doesn't quite arrive on time now, so I'm just going to pull this over a touch. Perfect. Now we'll do the same thing for R, just pull that across a little bit, and I'm just going to add some keyframes on the position, so press P, create a new position, create a new keyframe at the start, scroll across 3, new keyframe there, scroll across 3, and a new keyframe there. Now I'm going to go over to the middle keyframe, I'm going to pull this up a touch, and then I'm going to go down to the first keyframe, and I'm just going to completely remove this from the frame, so I'm going to pull that down. Now if we watch this back, perfect. So we have here you are animating in, and then we need to get rid of this and bring in face to face. So to progress from here and get to the face to face lyric, I'm going to get rid of all of these. I'm going to pull the scale down, but rather than doing it for each individual layer, you'll notice they all disappear into their own little space. So that's going to scale down there, that's going to scale down there, and then that's going to scale down up there. We want to do it into the same so they're all kind of linked. So to do this, we just want to create a new null object. So we're going to go up to layer, new, null object, and then we're just going to parent here, U, and R to the null object. So select all of these, hold the pick whip on here, and we're just going to pull that across onto the null one. Now, any changes you make to the null object will affect all of these layers at the same time. So let's go back and listen to this from the start. And now we need to get rid of these at this point here. So we're going to go into null, we're going to press the S, that's scale, we're going to create a new keyframe, scroll across 3 or 4 frames, and we'll just pull this down to 0. Perfect, so if we watch this back, that's just disappeared into space. So we'll go from the beginning. Perfect, and now from here we can do the face-to-face line. So let's go through and do that. We're going to copy here, U, and R. Just going to copy V. Going to make sure that the null object is underneath these so we don't get confused. I'm just going to adjust the position of these again just to make sure that these are in time with the music. So face. Okay, so now that's in time, but the lyrics are wrong. It's still saying here you are. So we're just going to go through and we're going to change all of these to face to face. Perfect, so that's the first 2 sections of lyrics complete. Here you are, face to face. Perfect, so from here we just want to get rid of these. So I'm going to do some separate animation for this. So we're going to find the timing. Okay, so that's here, and then load up all of these layers at the same time and press P. That's going to load up the position for all of these, and I'm going to create a new keyframe for all of these. Perfect. Now I'm going to scroll across 3 or 4 frames. I'm going to make sure I select just the first face layer, and I'm going to pull the position of this up towards the sky. I'm going to do the same thing again for the face on the lower layer, but I'm going to pull this down to the bottom. And then with this 2, I'm just going to adjust the scale so that it disappears into space. So I'm going to scroll across to that first position keyframe down here, and I'm going to press S. This is going to load up the scale. Now I want to create a new keyframe here, scroll across 3 frames, and I'm just going to pull the scale down to 0%. Now if we play this back, they've all disappeared into their own direction. So let's watch this back from the very beginning, see what we have. So from here, I'm just going to change the color of the background as face to face disappears. So as that disappears there, I'm just going to animate a new color in. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate this layer here. This is the color layer. So Command Shift D, that's going to cut that in half. I'm just going to drag this bottom layer over a touch and drag the top layer over a touch. And then I'm going to go into the Effects and Presets tab, and I'm just going to search for Change Color. That's this one here. Color to change, I'm going to highlight this blue, and then I'm just going to go into Hue Transform, and I'm just going to select a different color. So let's go to red. So we've got blue into red. However, we do want to animate this on. So as face to face comes in, I'm just going to create a brand new mask. So I'm going to go over to the end of the animation. I'm going to select the pen tool, and I'm going to draw a box around the outside here. Perfect. Now I'm going to go into masks. So selecting this layer, I'm going to press M, press mask path, create a keyframe there, and I'm going to drag that back a little bit to face. And then I'm just going to go and change this mask. So I'm just going to drag this across to there. And now if you watch this back, that has animated in. However, that's a little bit too fast for my liking, so I'm just going to pull the first keyframe to the left a bit and the second keyframe to the right a bit. Perfect, but it's a little bit too late, so I'm just going to drag both of those over. Perfect. So let's go from the beginning. Amazing. So we've got those first 2 sections of lyrics complete. So now from here, I'm just going to create a new text layer. I'm not going to copy this font and this animation style again. I'm going to create a new animation. So scroll across to here. Find the next lyric in this trashy bar, so it's right there. And I'm going to create a new text layer. So new text. And I'm just going to select in. And then I'm just going to position this over to the left. And I'm just going to adjust the adjustment layer on this again. So I'm going to go into transform. So I'm going to go on to in, go down to transform, anchor point, and just going to change that up to there. Perfect. Now I just want to copy this layer. Perfect. So now from here, I just want to trim the start of this off. So I'm going to select the layer, hold Command, Shift, and D. And then I'm just going to delete that first bit of video there. So now we need to do the same thing again for in this trashy bar. So we need to do this 3 more times. So I'm just going to Command C, V, V, and V. That's created these 4 layers here. So I'm just going to adjust the second in to in this. Third one is trashy, and this one is bar. Now I'm just going to drag all of these over and separate them. There we go. In this trashy bar. Now take as much time as you want to perfect this, but I'm just going to quickly move on with this. I'm just going to select all of these layers. I'm going to load up the proportional grid, and I'm just going to drag this down to the middle here. And I'm just going to get rid of that. Perfect. So now we've got in this trashy bar, but they all come in at the same time. So we want to change the timings of all of these lyrics. So we're going to go back and listen to this. In this, we'll drag this across to there. Trashy comes in there. And then bar comes in there. This is a little bit too late, so we'll drag that across. Awesome. Now with all of these, I'm just going to do a very similar animation. I'm just going to start with a 0% scale, and I'm going to bounce these up to around 120 and then back down to around 100. So we go up to the first line that is in, we'll press select, we'll press S, and that's scale. And then I'm just going to create a keyframe at the beginning. I'm going to change that to 0, scroll across 3 frames, going to go up to 120, and then we'll go across 3 frames, and then we'll change that to 100. Now, as you'll see, this should bounce in. Perfect. And then we're just going to copy the scale of all of this. So we're just going to select scale, hold Command C. We'll go over and select this. We'll go to the beginning of this, and we'll press Command V. That's just going to copy that effect onto there. We'll do the same thing again on Trashy. So Command V. Trashy jumps in, and then bar, same thing again, Command V, and that's pasted in. So we'll just watch through this and make sure that it's in time. Okay, so now they're all slightly out of sync because the animation comes in later than the lyric. So select all of these and drag these across a few frames. So let's go from the very beginning. Now from here, I'm just going to create a brand new null object just so that we can animate all of these in the same space. So I'm going to go over to Layer, New, Null Object. And I'm going to select all of these layers here. And I'm just going to drag this pick whip here and let go of it on the null 2. And now just so we don't get confused, I'm just going to get rid of the first bit of this null object. So I'm going to select this layer, hold Command, Shift and D, and then delete that first bit there. Now we want to go through and find the point where we want to get rid of the animation, so we can start to run away from it at this point here. So we're going to go into this arrow here on null, transform, and we're going to create a new keyframe for position, scale, and rotation. And then we're just going to listen to the track one more time. So there's roughly a second, maybe just under a second until the next line comes in, so we can be a little bit slower on this animation here. Okay, so now from here, what we're going to do, we're just going to rotate this towards the camera. So we're going to increase the scale and we're going to rotate this image. So we'll go over to scale, we'll pull the scale all the way up to around here, and then we'll just adjust the rotation as well. Perfect. Now we want the camera to travel through this space here in between the R and the A. So we're just going to adjust the scale up to around 4,000, and we'll just adjust the position. That's quite nice there actually, so we'll do a little bit of animation here with the next lyric. We can maybe have some text over here in one color and then have some other text over here in a different color. So we'll leave that there. Now that animation is quite aggressive, so we're just going to select all of these keyframes. We'll double click on one of them, go into Keyframe Assistant and press Easy Ease. Now rather than sharply animating, this is just going to kind of accelerate and deaccelerate into the keyframes. That was a lot nicer. Now we can go through and we can create some more text layers here for the next set of lyrics. Another glass. So we'll create some new text layers here. So we're going to go into Layer, New, Text, and that is another. And we're going to change the color of this to this pinky red here. So we're going to go into here, that's the eyedropper, and select this color here. Go over to our cursor tool, and we're just going to drag that over to here. Now, as you can see, I didn't copy the R in that color, so I'll just do the same thing again. And there we go. Another. Trim the start of that. Another glass, CV. I'm going to change this to glass. Drag that down. And I am going places. CV that layer, and then we're just going to adjust this to and then with this text we're going to select all of that, and we're going to change the eyedropper, so we're going to change the color back to white, and we'll drag this over to the other side. Another glass and I copy that again, going. Copy that one more time. That's places. Drag that one down again. And then we're just going to make sure that all of these follow the curvature of this line here. So we're just going to drag these across. Another glass, and I'm going places. So we'll just watch that through again. Glass is a bit late. Glass. Going too soon, and so was places. So we'll watch that one more time. Places was again too soon. Perfect. Now let's watch this back from the very beginning. Now from here we can go through and we can animate each of these text layers individually. So we could probably bring this in from the left to the right, and we can bring these in from the right to the left. Or we could do a typewriter effect on some of these. So let's go to another. We're going to go up into effects and presets, and we're going to search for typewriter. So we'll get rid of that. Search for type. That's going to bring up typewriter and drag that onto another. Perfect. Okay, so once that's added, we're going to go into another by pressing this, go into text, animator 1, and then we're just going to change the keyframe by selecting range selector, and we'll pull this in here. Another. So if we play this back. Perfect, so we can copy this onto our other layers here. So we're going to copy animator 1 by pressing Command C. We'll go into glass and we'll do the same thing again, Command V. Now glass was a bit too late, so I'm going to pull this back. Another glass. Copy that onto and. Pull this back. Copy that onto I. And I am. And I am should already be there, so that's a bit too late. Going places, so we're going to copy that onto going, pull this back a bit, pull that back, and we're going to lastly copy that onto places, another glass, and I am going places. Perfect, and now from here we can just animate this, so we can maybe get rid of all of this by adding it to a null object and then adding the text for the next section. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to call this a day here, and I'm just going to only show you this first bit of the animation. But feel free to do this for the rest of the song or however much animation that you need to do. My last tip, though, would be to add some motion blur to all of these. As you can see, as these are coming in, these are still quite block. Typically, when you film something on a camera, the shutter speed will cause motion blur in your images, and that just looks really realistic and it looks really natural to the eye. So we're going to create the same effect here. So we're going to select all of the layers that we've done here. So we're just going to hold Command A. That's going to select everything. And then we're just going to select this box underneath these 3 circles, and that's the motion blur. So we're going to select that there. And then we're going to activate the motion blur by pressing this same logo here. Now, as you'll see, motion blur has been added to this layer here. So if we watch this back from the beginning, motion blur is a little bit more strenuous on the computer, so it will take a few seconds for your computer to render this out. So just let this render out and then play it back once it's completed the rendering process. Perfect, so now that's rendered out, we can just go through it and we can just play that back. So let's go to the very beginning. And that's it, that is the Kinetic Typography animation complete. Now you could do this for the whole of your video, you could do this for the whole of the track, and you can do this to any track that you so desire. All that you need to do this effect is Adobe After Effects, your lyrics, and then a song to complete the animation to. Now you can be really creative with this effect and you can achieve some interesting results from doing this animation. So go and have fun, be creative, and create some awesome typography videos. If you enjoyed watching this video or if you found it useful at all, then please do let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more filmmaking, photography and editing tutorials in the near future. Thank you ever so much for watching, I really do truly appreciate it. I hope you're having the most amazing day today. I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching.